Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
And we will begin with breaking news as a teenager has been shot in Dearborn Heights. Investigators on the scene right now still trying to piece together exactly what happened.
Let's get right over to Local 4 photojournalist Tim Pamplin for what he's learned in just the last 5 minutes or so, Tim.
Yeah, it's a 16-year-old, I'm being told, has been shot in the face. Now, here's how it all went down. We're on Grayfield Street. That's Telegraph and Joy area, Dearborn Heights. Just north along Grayfield here, a big fight ensued with about half a dozen youngsters, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. That fight then ended up coming down the street into this home. This home is known to the police. This home was the subject of a drive-by shooting a couple of months ago. Well, today, all these teenagers piled into this home. That's when one gunshot rang out, leaving a 16-year-old, we're being told, shot in the face. Understand he's in critical condition at this time. Family members just arriving on the scene. But as you say, Dearborn Heights just beginning to get on top of this one, figure out who the shooter was, and we'll get an update on the condition of that teenager very soon, hopefully. Back to you guys downtown.
Just as soon as we can give you more, we will. All right, Tim.
Also breaking here at 6 o'clock, the Mel Tucker era at Michigan State University appears to be done. The school has let Tucker know they're starting the process of firing him as football coach following claims of sexual harassment. It's been just over a week since the allegations surfaced, and now MSU says it's ready to part ways with Mel Tucker.
The school says behavior that Tucker's already admitted to is grounds enough to terminate his contract. That includes touching himself during a phone call with Brenda Tracy, who, as you know by now, makes her living advocating against sexual assault and was hired to speak at MSU in that capacity. Tucker was notified by letter of the decision made by Athletic Director Alan Haller, the MSU administration, and its Board of Trustees. It makes clear he's being fired for cause. The letter cites moral turpitude as one of the reasons. Tucker will now be given 7 days to respond and present reasons why he should not be let go for cause.
Here's a look at the actual letter, which cites a section of Tucker's contract listing the reasons MSU could potentially terminate his employment, including conduct which, quote, would tend to bring public disrespect, contempt, or ridicule upon the university. The letter goes on to say Tucker's admitted behavior breaches both those standards, proving a, quote, basis under which the university may terminate the agreement, which the university elects to now terminate, end quote.
So we expect a lot of reaction to this breaking story. We will have that coming up in our upcoming newscasts. And of course, we'll continue to follow the latest on clickondetroit.com.
In more news tonight, we are hearing from the owner of a Dearborn Heights hookah lounge following a wild scene that happened there.
We've got just some of the video here shot inside Royalty Nights over the weekend when an argument between two patrons spiraled out of control into a full-on brawl. Sean Lay live to take us through what happened and how it was handled. Sean.
Devin and Kimberly, first and foremost, I'll hit this button, start playing some of the video. We received 3 videos from inside this business. We'll show them to you. We also had a long chat today with the owner of the business. He says what's in the video, there is more to the story than what we're seeing here. Video capturing a wild brawl inside a Dearborn Heights business over the weekend. Punches are thrown, others join in by throwing anything they can get their hands on. It happened at the Royalty Nights Hookah Lounge on Garling and Dearborn Heights. Another video shows what the place looked like afterward. Ali Shami owns Royalty Nights. He was there. We spoke to him today on the phone. What caused it? What happened? And what do you think? That's all we need to know.
There was a little argument between two guys that, they know each other. They got into it for a few minutes. We broke it up and it was over. There was nobody that was hurt. There was no reports made. Stuff got thrown around because, there's the commotion and everything.
This is video Shami is sharing with us. His place is popular, packed, safe, and fun. But brawls like these can happen and do happen anywhere.
It happens everywhere. I've been to Birmingham, I've been to Detroit, and I've seen things a lot worse than this. People almost die. People almost go in the hospital. None of that happened at my place.
Shami says police weren't called, medics weren't called. He says no one was hurt. This third video shows a man with blood, however, all over his chest and arm.
It was a scuffle. It was broken up.
Got it.
And everybody went their own way. It was a 2-minute thing. And the video looks a lot worse than it really was.
All right, back here live. We checked with Dearborn Heights Police morning, midday, afternoon. Never heard back from anyone inside of the department or the chief's office. If we do, we'll let you know what they say about this. But the owner clearly says police weren't called and didn't show up to this thing. Also, Ali, the owner of the place, says he identified the people involved and they are now banned from his business. We're live tonight. Sean Lane, Local 4, back to you.
All right, Sean.
It is day 4 in the historic UAW strike that is targeting each of the big 3 automakers. About 13,000 of the union's 146,000 workers are striking at 3 plants right now. Conversations continued over the weekend, but UAW President Shawn Fain says there is still a long way to go. In a statement sent to Local 4, Stellantis said today's talks centered around finding common ground between the union's demands and what the company can offer. One aspect in the talks that remains, a hang-up, wage tiers.
We're far apart on several issues. I mean, we have been very clear from the onset that we want to end tiers. And tiers are where you have workers on the line doing the same job for severely different rates of pay. And there's no excuse for that. You're expected the day you hire in there as a worker to perform the same work as a person next to you. And there should be no reason why, there's a $16 an hour, $15 an hour pay discrepancy there.
The UAW's targeted strike is already affecting plants down the supply chain. And while nobody expects any of the big 3 to go out of business, there are smaller companies in the auto industry for which that's no guarantee. Will Jones is live with a look at the impact below the giant car companies. Will, good evening.
Kimberly, there are many parts that make up the auto industry, and there is major concern on how this strike could impact the industry as a whole. One Michigan supplier is planning to lay off hundreds of workers due to this strike. Automotive supply chain expert Jan Griffiths warns of the ripple effect of the ongoing UAW strike against Detroit's big 3 automakers, specifically the smaller companies along the supply chain.
They call it a supply chain for a reason. And you know what we say about chains, right? We're only as strong as the weakest link.
Tier 1 supplies products to the automakers. Tier 2 supplies products to Tier 1.
And these tend to be family-owned businesses, smaller companies, and they are in an extremely precarious position right now.
Right now, the UAW has about 13,000 workers on strike at 3 plants in the Midwest, including the Ford Michigan assembly plant in Wayne. And UAW President Shawn Fain promising today to expand the strike if necessary.
It's possible they could differentiate between the companies based on the amount of progress that's being made. But it's clearly a decision in their hands, and I would imagine that they're going to make it sooner rather than later.
Griffiths says if the strike continues for 4 to 6 weeks, some Tier 2 companies could be forced to make some tough decisions. There are a lot of companies like that.
Oh, thousands.
And they're based here in Michigan and...
They are all over the place, but I would say the large concentration is Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois.
Industry experts say some of these smaller companies don't have large profit margins, so they're more vulnerable in situations like we're in now. We're live in Detroit. Will Jones, Local 4.
I can understand that. Okay, Will, thank you.
A crash at 11 Mile in Hoover sends a Warren police officer to the hospital. Pulse-pounding moments all caught on camera. Victor Williams with a closer look along with a message the police commissioner has for every driver on the road.
Well, this is the intersection where that accident happened. The impact of the collision so bad that once it happened, both cars ended up right here in front of the KFC. But the Warren Police Department is saying they did nothing wrong.
Let me say, first of all, that it was not a pursuit.
A response to an emergency leads to a crash in Warren involving a police officer and the driver of this pickup truck. Commissioner Bill Dwyer says the officer was only doing his job.
The officer received a radio run to a situation that involved fast response.
With the officer properly activating both sirens and flashing lights, it's the driver of the vehicle that's the one that should have been paying more attention.
You have to be more alert. I mean, the officers, when you hear that siren and the lights, be it a police car or a fire apparatus, it means that they have the right of way.
Thankfully, the driver only faced minor injuries. However, it's the officer that's going to have a long recovery.
The officer was hospitalized with some serious injuries, and We thought initially that it was going to be possibly life-threatening. Fortunately, it was not.
Commissioner Dwyer says it's just a testament of all the sacrifices officers make to help save lives even in other situations.
There's a number of different things that are happening out there today. I mean, just recently we had 2 officers assist a 17-year-old that was going to commit suicide, followed by just recently again an officer that saved a baby's life.
Now that officer was released from the hospital. We are told that he is slowly but very surely going to be making a recovery. In the meantime, we are live tonight. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Yeah. All right, Victor.
We've got some cooler temperatures today, but they won't last the entire week.
In fact, apparently the coolest that we'll see all week was today, right, Kim?
Yeah, this is the coolest, and then we get back into more summer-like temperatures. This is a live look from our Ann Arbor sky cam, where it is 65 degrees, also in Lapeer and Monroe, and 68 in Detroit. Pretty much the upper 60s everywhere you go. We have popped up to 70 downtown. That's that urban heat island where the concrete and everything kind of holds the heat in a little bit better. But temperatures tonight are going to be dropping down into the upper 50s at Metro Airport, but upper 40s in some of the suburbs, as we will lose some of our cloud coverage we have now. And with all that clear skies, the heat just escapes into the atmosphere, and it will be another chilly start tomorrow at 8 a.m. around 51 degrees. But we do warm up. At least we crack 70 tomorrow. 71 is still technically just a little below normal, but after that, temperatures are going to warm up pretty nicely. In fact, by Thursday, we're close to 80 degrees, not quite there, but at least we're close. We'll talk about our next chance for rain in a few minutes.